Hi, this is Ashio, and welcome back to Echo. We're doing well on Jenna's route. I think we're starting to get places. We're on to Sunday, which is the last day of her story. I don't really know what's going to happen, but there's a lot of people missing. We found a body in the last part, and we kind of got Micah hanging out with us as well. They've kind of joined our little group. But we're walking around in the dark now, and we've been walking around for what feels like ages. The moon's still high in the air, and the taste of water in the air. Maybe it's going to rain. After we got switched around and ended up on the wrong side of the highway, we realised we were much closer to Heather's than the motel. So, to Tetanus Alley we go. I keep playing back that conversation earlier in my head, the voice that seemingly activated when I found the skeleton. I've heard it 1,000 times before, but I always just assumed it was me, my subconscious. A particularly bitter side of myself that would chime in every now and then to add insult to injury. Really, lives out in the boonies, doesn't she, Leo winces some as he walks, no longer using Micah as a walking crutch. Yeah, I don't get out here often. Be wary though, apparently she's got a gun, so no threatening movements or nothing if we see her. Clint's got one too. Should have swum back around my place so that I could grab my piece. Leo, for God's sake, we're not getting in a firefight tonight. But my aim's better than two junkies with pop guns. Oh yeah, the heavily concussed hobbled wolf definitely has the advantage over Clint and Heather, both of which spend a considerable portion of their free time shooting random objects in the trailer park. I know, because I grew up listening to it. She ain't lying, at least for Clint, and he ain't no fan of you. Should probably let me do the talking. Did you betray him? I think I might be a better person for this. The neutral party, so to speak? Yeah, but I know them. I can sort this shit out quick like. Trust Micah? Jenna can talk sense into anybody. Oh god. Micah seemed pretty chill about how he described it wasn't a big issue. We'll go with Micah on this occasion. Well, I presume Micah's the one who would generally know how to talk them down. And yeah, they got more recent history, whereas Jenna's been gone for a while. I doubt they really like taking orders from Brian, and now that he's dead, presumably, hopefully dead, it should be easy to get them to stop all this shit. Micah offers me a tired smile. Chase, I'm gonna steal you something nice when this is over. You need a new MP3 player? I chuckled a bit, shaking my head, which was a bad idea because it still smarts something fierce. I just use my phone for music, but thanks. Jenna, who's still supporting me as I walk, huffs. I'm just worried about Cole. It's hard to put my trust in someone else when his life's on the line. Yeah, but like I said, I know them. Jeremy ain't the same kid you ditched back in high school. Jenna hums. Yeah, I noticed that when he left us in a torture trailer to die. I doubt he knew how far Brian would take it, but yeah, his level's gone way up. Still pretty dangerous, no matter what. Jenna looks sidelong toward the wharf, narrowing her gaze some. She still seems pretty disgusted with the wharf for the van revelations. And the further we get away from it, I'm starting to feel myself get more and more ill at the thought. The camera, Jesus. Leo had asked if we ever wanted to film anything before when we were together, but I always said no. I shut my eyes, trying not to think about it. Focus. I just gotta find Cole. A long curvy gravel road leads halfway up the quarter-mile loop that's Jasmine Street. At this section, several mobile homes are dotted along its length, though most are empty and dilapidated. They generally serve as squatting grounds for seasonal transients. A little pink house stands out amongst the rest, with a big utility vehicle parked out front. Never actually been inside before, so we should be careful. The front door's open. What? Jenna points, and sure enough, the double doors leading into the house are cracked open. The doors themselves are strangely ornate, painted like a drawbridge with big knockers on both sides. A creeping sense of dread begins to dawn upon me. Hunker down, let's get ready. And so we do. Well, as much as I'm willing to do with my leg still feeling like it's on fire. I can even see Leo wincing as he crouches down in front of some shrubbery. Are you guys good for this? Yeah, it's just like I got bit by 20 fire ants. There's probably something we can wrap your legs up with inside. And the tips of your fingers, Batty. Batty? Said Bat gives Leo an incredulous look before letting out a little harumph and facing forward again. I squint past the two of them through the brush, and I can make out the text and logo on the utility vehicle. It says, the Reclamation Bureau, with a little river insignia surrounded by the national flag. Jenna squats down beside me, her ear twitching. She quickly peers over her shoulder, staring hard at something behind us. I follow her gaze, though all I see is the vast stretch of desert between us and Lake Emma. Micah looks too, letting out a little gasp. Who the fuck? What? I don't see anything. Quiet. Jenna places her paw up to my lips. I frown, peering past her fingers into the dark. Finally, I can hear something. Twigs snapping, quick footsteps, and maybe some panting? There's a rumbling behind it too that sounds almost mechanical in nature. My first thought is the van from earlier. Whoever turned it on. Had they gotten it running and followed us out here? The silhouette of a figure emerges through the sagebrush, its motions frantic. Eventually, I can see its eyes, which are a familiar bright blue. Tej! Leo quickly runs up to catch the flailing feline, only to be met with slashing claws that push him away. The wolf sees audibly, stepping back. TJ, stop, it's us! He whispers sternly, trying to snap him out of whatever's come over him. TJ keeps looking over his shoulder, panicked. It's coming! It won't stop following me! TJ shouts, and Micah visibly flinches. Kid, shut the fuck up! He's hysterical. Yeah, so hit him or something. Leo blinks, frowning deeply, as he tries to wrangle the cat by the scruff of his neck with little success. What, I'm not going to punch TJ. Oh, so you get to beat up my friends and it's totally fine? Micah's grumbling trails off into a disgruntled mumble as TJ yowls. He keeps trying to scramble away, kicking up clouds of dust everywhere. The cat looks horrible. Goat head brambles stuck in his fur, tumbleweed sticks in his shirt, pants ripped at the seams. It looks like he's been out running in the wilds for a while. Jenna squeezes my shoulder some before moving from my side, approaching the increasingly feral-looking lynx. TJ, it's me, Jenna. She speaks softly, a calming tone to her voice. I'm here with Leo, Chase, and our new friend, Micah. You're okay? That rumbling sound is getting closer, though. Soon, I can see headlights gleaming across the desert. It's a pickup truck, and it's not even on the roads. The driver just careening through the desert straight toward us. TJ's eyes bulge, head swiveling toward the sound, even as Leo wrestles him to his knees. Oh no, no. It's the thing from... He breathes in sharply, looking at me for a moment. The monster. The monster? Jenna repeats, peering at the approaching truck. Fuck, is that Jeremy and Clint? No. She lets out a relieved sigh. I recognise that busted grille. The vehicle begins to slow until it rolls into idle and parks about 10 metres from where we're squatting. A towering figure emerges from the inside, a rifle in his hands. Fucking hell. Flynn blinks at us all and then shifts his attention back to TJ. The lynx is staring at him as if he's just the horror of all horrors, jaw agape in silent scream as he writhes in Leo's grasp. Flynn, Jenna growls. I guess we're all just hollering now. Micah briefly glances over his shoulder toward the house, but there's no movement inside. What did you do? What did I do? I sure as shit would like to know. 1 minute we're searching for Cole, the next he's just staring at me with a crazed look in his eyes. He started crying, snotting all over the place. I've been chasing this little shit for fuck knows how long while the whole town's falling apart. Lost him for a bit, so I went home and grabbed my repeater. Flynn holds up his rifle, and I can see it's pretty damn old-timey looking. Like the sort you see in old westerns, with metal that looks more brassy than iron. He shifts his gaze from TJ to the rest of us and frowns. The fuck you guys been up to? No one immediately speaks. To be fair, I'm not quite sure how to answer either. It would take hours to summarise everything that's happened since Flynn and TJ were around. Surviving. I rubbed the back of my neck. But we found Cole. You did? Flynn perks right up, the visible exhaustion he'd worn, like a second skin seeming to dissolve right off him. Where? Where is he? I swallow, realising how dry my throat is, as I tried to make the right words. Duke and my brother have him. Jenna interjects. We were briefly and unwillfully detained at Brian's. Cole was there, but Jeremy and Duke were told to take him to Heather's place. Hence, she gestures toward the pink house. Why we're here? You're fucking shitting me. We're not. Flynn is wrought speechless, bringing his fingers to his forehead and gritting his teeth. This is so fucking nuts. He brandishes his repeater across his chest, putting back the lever and checking the chamber with an increasing look of trepidation on his face. Let's not waste any more time then. He slams the lever back into place, stepping forward. TJ flinches, though the lynx looks less terrified and more confused now. Whoa there, mayor's boy. Jeremy and Duke might be packing, and we know for sure Heather is. So slow your roll, yeah? Hearing this information, it looks like roll slowing is the exact opposite of what Flynn wants to do, but he does stop. Glancing back, he seems like he's about to snap at Leo, but spots his bloody leg and the swelling around the muzzle and forehead. His expression softens. Guys, our attention shifts to the lynx cradled in Leo's arms. He's peering at us through bloodshot eyes. Tej. Leo loosens his grip on him, and the lynx props himself up on one knee, taking stock of his surroundings as if for the first time. Hello? Jenna exchanges a look with the rest of us before speaking. Welcome back to reality? That hum's nasty stuff, ain't it, kid? Hum. He clutches his ears. I don't know what you're talking about. Leo snaps his fingers a few times in front of TJ's face before waving his paw in front of him. TJ stares, flinching with a delayed reaction. Not too sure he's fully back with us just yet. Flynn swipes his hand through the air, grimacing. Okay, enough of this. Wolfboy, what's the plan? I blink, realising how naturally everyone defers to Leo when the going gets rough, just like when we were kids. I don't see Jeremy or Dukes right out front, so I assume they ain't here. We should take a look around inside, but we need to be careful. They could be back any minute. Yeah. We all begin to follow in line behind Leo, all of us pretty damn well aware our element of surprise is long gone. We're about to reach the open door when I notice that Jenna isn't with us. I glance back over my shoulder and see her staring into the underbrush back by the truck. Everybody else starts filing in before I get a chance to get anybody's attention, so I wait outside for her. I wave, trying to get her attention. Sure enough, she finally looks my way and quickly scurries her way over to me. It's amazing how silent she can be, even while running. It's one of those enviable fox traits that she has. It's tough to think of any aspect of foxes that's a hindrance, actually. What's up? I look at her, trying to keep my voice down. She peers at me with a scrutinising expression, as if I'd said something rather offensive, and she's waiting for me to talk my way out of it. Jenna? Oh, it's nothing? Nothing real. Huh? She walks in, not offering any elaboration. What has she seen? Come on. I sigh and follow her in. Jenna, I can't say I could have ever expected the interior of Heather's home to look like this, even having known her most of my life. The first thing that hits me is the smell. It reminds me of one of those fancy candle and soap stores in the mall, but with this sort of dusty, mildewy stank that lingers in my sinuses. Very floral overall. Potpourri, I think it's called. The next thing I notice is the decor. Much like the exterior, there definitely appears to be some kind of fantasy castle-like theming going on here. However, the person going for said theme is certainly no interior designer. Bubbly wallpaper, cheap knickknacks, and blurry printed JPEG pictures of fairy tale characters coat the walls. Pink pennant banners dangle from the ceiling, and crushed glitter can be seen reflecting from within the weaving of the carpet. It's like a child's birthday party took place here, but judging from the faded appearance, it's been like this for a while. As I glance to my left, I notice an entire wall's been knocked down, the structural framing inadequately hidden by flower-coated curtains. Beyond said curtains is a large chair and the long red rug leading up to it. It takes me a moment to realise that it's supposed to be some kind of throne, lit harshly by the bright white fluorescent lights. Despite the attempted fanciful presentation, cluttered floors hinder whatever intended effect of opulence they were trying to go for. I can see old VHS tapes, candy wrappers, CRT monitors, disposable cameras, children's toys, all scattered about. Past the throne is what I think was supposed to be the living room, but instead of chairs, there's just this mattress on the floor, which is covered in throw pillows and beach blankets. I even recognise one as having the logo of Southwest Adventures. Seeing that makes me realise how long ago it feels like that all of us were at the theme park, carefree for the most part. Flynn steps up to the knockdown wall, repeater clutched under one arm. Guessing they didn't get a permit for this demo. As if on cue, A gust of rolling wind hits the house, and I can practically feel it shudder, unstable. The Gila quickly refocuses, keeping his slitted gaze pointed down the hall for any sudden movement. Beyond that, the house is quiet for the most part, outside of the occasional dripping noise coming from somewhere I can't see. Nuts. Completely nuts? Leo mutters, shaking his head at his surroundings. Yeah, none of us come here. Never actually been inside before. Heather's dad never lets anybody in. Now I can see why. Leo and the rest begin moving down the hall, while Jenna steps up beside me. She has a contemplative frown upon her muzzle. It's kind of weird and familiar in a way. It's all I can say initially, until I begin to start placing why. This place reminds me of like old thrift stores and cheesy parties I went to as a kid. I can't imagine living here. It's not as dirty as I thought it would be. Jenna muses, though something catches her eye in the entranceway to the kitchen. Soon I'm following her, approaching what looks like a laminated coloured pencil drawing posted on the wall with rainbow-coloured tags. King and Princess's Palace. Jenna's frown deepens. On the picture, there's a large bespectacled feline man sitting on a grand golden throne. It's quite an upgrade from the dingy orange recliner draped in cut-up fabrics they got out front, that's for sure. Next to him, sitting cross-legged, is what looks like a drawing of Heather. She's in a stereotypical pink princess gown, with a little tiara on her head. The two are holding hands. It's such a sentimental picture, it actually seems pretty sweet that even Heather has someone who cares about her enough as this. However, Jenna's dour expression does not relent. She quickly turns, heading down the hall with the rest of the gang. Flynn and Leo continue to take point, the Gila keeping his rifle at the ready. Still no sign of anyone, though? Part of me wonders how wise it is to be carrying a gun with all this mind-altering hysteria business going on. Flynn turning on any of us is pretty unfathomable, though, the lizard having always been all bark and no bite. Still, seeing one of my old friends brandishing a weapon is kind of a weird feeling. I pop into one of the rooms along the main hall that still has the lights on. It looks like a study of some sort, and it's much less cluttered than the rest of the house. There's a small desk beside the door with a laptop and a stack of papers next to it, most of them with Reclamation Bureau letterheads. At a glance, the documents mention things like water tables, hydrology reports, and map revisions for floodplain boundaries. It all sounds like pretty heady stuff. It's odd that Heather's dad lives in such a shitty place, despite having such a technical-sounding job. TJ wanders in beside me, staring blearily into the empty room. I reach over, placing a paw on the Lynx's shoulder. He flinches a little, but doesn't draw back. You feeling better, Tej? I ask, keeping my voice soft for his sake. Yeah. TJ responds, rubbing his arms. His fur looks puffier than usual, most likely the result of him being so on edge. I know we're looking for Cole, but I hope Heather's okay too. I withdraw my paw, giving him a sidelong look as I check behind the few pieces of furniture that are in here. Oh, I didn't figure you two were that close. At least, not anymore. You don't have to be close to someone to be worried about them. I'm not about to argue with TJ on this one, but the way he speaks makes it sound like he's more reciting something than speaking from the heart. I step back out into the main area. Down the hall, I hear the clatter of falling boxes, followed by a hushed swear from Flynn. Watch your step. Get off my ass, my adrenaline buzz is wearing off. You can relax, it doesn't look like anyone's here. What? That doesn't mean you can fucking relax. It means that Cole's still out there with those crackhead fuckfaces. I'm sure when he's dead, you'd relax plenty. Flynn. I can hear the lizard spit, cutting him off. Fuck you, Leo. Jenna sighs loudly, interjecting. Flynn, you know I didn't mean it that way. The bickering continues as I realise there's still a room at the back of the end of the hall with the lights off. I make my way over, stepping into the doorway and peering into the blackness as I fumble around for the light switch. I find myself shielding my eyes from the glare of the unshaded light hanging from above. For a moment, I thought I saw something move in the corner, though it might have just been the glare. This room reminds me of the foyer, a cluttered mess with exposed drywall, electrical wiring, and damp spots all over the ceiling. There's a window to my right, and I think I can see Duke's truck parked outside. Duke mentioned something about Heather taking it while we were locked up with Brian. At first I think it's some kind of storage room, but then I noticed the pink couch in the corner with a blanket, pillow and alarm clock. There are dirty clothes piled up beside it, and judging from all the bras and panties, this must be where Heather sleeps. There's even a little closet in the corner with crayon children's drawings posted over the door. I take a step in, though I stop when something catches my eye. In the right-hand corner of the room, where I thought I saw something move earlier, a little green light blinks in the shadows. As I approach, I notice something, a pastel pink baby monitor with a photograph taped above it. What is that? The picture is of what looks like a fennec fox on the outskirts of Echo, staring at, well, I'm not sure. Shooting star? The fox kinda looks like Keith. Weird. I flip over the photo and notice that there's some smudged writing on the back. Whatever it once said is utterly illegible now. I put it back and shift my focus to the monitor beneath it. It appears to be decades old, judging by the worn paint, but is apparently still functional. For some reason I can't really explain, I pick it up and press the single circular button in the centre. It crackles with a low hissing noise, and that's when I realise it's some kind of walkie-talkie. After a few seconds of holding the button, I speak into it. Hello? I need to jump out of my skin at the groaning noise. Mainly because it isn't coming from the device, it's coming from inside the room. My eyes dart around for the source, eventually finding one of the blankets piled up on the floor, behind a table. It starts to move, and I quickly back up. Leo, get in here! Heavy footfalls can be heard sprinting down the hall outside, the wolf pushing his way in with wild eyes. What's going on? He looks ready to pounce, though it's met only by me and a bedraggled-looking ram trying to untangle the comforter from his horns. Ugh. Oh shit! Cole! There's a squeaking noise from the closet, and I notice Cole's unfocused green eyes start to wander in that direction. I look over and see the folding doors are slightly ajar. Were they like that before? And that's when I see it. An eye. It peers through the crack, wired and bloodshot. The door's rammed from the inside, knocking it into the side and sending toys and other miscellaneous junk flying. A hanging light bulb flickers in the closet as a figure steps through. I quickly realise it's Heather. She has blood on her legs and a revolver in her grasp. You get out! Go the hell away! I quickly throw up my paws. Leo hesitates for a moment and does the same. Hey girlie, we mean you no harm. We just need... Leo stops talking, and I'm not sure why. That is, until Heather shifts out of the way, and I can see more clearly into the flickering closet. Hunched against the wall is what looks like an enormous doll. Upon further inspection, it's not a doll at all. It's a man, and there's a red smear on the wall behind him. I recognise him from the drawing, a portly fellow with circular glasses, each of the lenses shattered by bullet holes. There are just empty sockets where his eyes once were. Atop his head is a little plastic crown embedded with costume jewellery. Oh shit! Micah walks into the room, quickly recoiling at the sight of Heather and the figure in the closet. Cole huddles back down against the floor, seemingly trying to make himself look small. At first Micah starts to approach the closet, but quickly stops as Heather brings up the revolver, pointing it at all of us. I've never actually looked down the barrel of a gun before, and the feeling's petrifying. Heather, what the fuck are you doing? It's me, Micah. I don't care, you need to go. She shifts the revolver over, aiming it unsteadily at Micah. We all take a step back, my back now against the wall. Where the hell's Flynn? Did you shoot your dad? Holy fuck, Heather. Micah. Leo rumbles a warning. That's a fucking dad in the closet. I will kill all of you. A shot rings out, and Micah flinches. The weapon was aimed at him when it went off. He blinks, shocked. The bat's hands beginning to shake as he checks his torso. He rolls around, spotting a light spray of blood around the bullet hole behind the wall. That's when the pain hits him, and he slowly begins to raise his wing. Clipped right through the centre is a bloody hole. The edges of the impact site look like frayed fabric. The bat stumps back, exuding ragged gasps. You fucking shot me? Leo's eyes bulge, and he starts to move, but stops when that revolver is swiveled toward him. Heather! I shout, trying to draw attention away from the others. Though I quickly realise I have no clue what to say. We're just looking for coal. Remember? Like we mentioned during the bonfire? My voice is shaky, cracking as I speak. The cat's chest rises and falls, like she's hyperventilating. It's been that way since she stepped out of the closet. She makes her way over toward the slumped form of Cole, still half covered in his blanket, and then she points the gun down at him. I'm gonna shoot him in his stupid, fat, ugly face unless you leave right now. She's absolutely screaming, her demands spouted with such a pitch, her voice constantly cracks. Tears begin to roll down her already wet cheeks, her eyes puffy. Beneath her, Cole covers his face with the blanket, visibly trembling from a mixture of fear and exhaustion. Okay, right on. I swallow. That's the plan, right guys? We're gonna leave, nice and slow. I do my best to put on a calm face as a nod to Leo and Micah. Are you fucking kidding me? Micah's outburst is directed toward me. No, not after we come all this way. We're not leaving the rich boy. He practically hisses his words. He's cupping a hand over his wound and trying to avoid stretching the skin of his wing, as that seems to just make the hole bigger. Heather, you have no reason to be keeping that chunky bitch here. Just let us take his ass and leave. Leave? Heather repeats. I've got nowhere else to go. Nowhere. Everything used to be bad, but not terrible like this. Keith barely talks to me anymore, and when he does, he says... She breathes in shakily. He says the meanest things. I cover my ears, and I can still hear him. Keith's fucking gone. Unless he gave you some secret cell phone number I don't know about, you can't be speaking to him. Micah neglects to mention what we discovered about Brian's habits, and the potential fate of his fox friend. But it's probably for the best that it isn't brought up. This is all hum shit, plain and simple. Duh, stupid. I know that. It doesn't explain anything though. You just gave it a silly name, but it's not silly, it's horrible and I hate it. Micah opens his mouth to snap back, but Heather shrieks, a blubbering of spit coming from her mouth, snot running down her nose. She begins to press her finger closer to the trigger. Cole, move. She doesn't fully finish pulling the trigger, leaving us all staring wide-eyed in suspense. She looks like she's dry heaving, trying to throw up an immensely sick feeling within her that will not leave. I can barely hear anything anymore, the ringing's so loud. It just sounds like him, he won't stop. Heather flails in the direction of the shadowy figure in the closet. Even though the man in the closet is very much dead, he's propped up in a way that makes it look like he's watching Heather pace around the room. His dark sockets following her while her back is turned. She seems afraid to look at him. The feline closes her eyes for a moment. I can tell Leo is weighing his chances, or whether he can tackle her to the ground before she can get a shot off. Before he can move, they open again and she speaks. Her voice is shrill, but quieter. Everyone thinks I'm stupid, that I'll never do anything but rot away like everyone else. And it has nothing to do with what Duke or Brian or Jeremy or Clint or anyone thinks will fix things. This whole town is so shit. No argument there. Micah mumbles, wide-eyed. And it's not your fault. They're wrong. I don't even really know you. She points the pistol at me, and it's like my heart crawls up into my throat, my whole body rigid with fear. This town is evil. And I'm gonna stop it. I'm gonna do something with my life for once, and not be some plaything. She growls at the ground as she says this. It's what Keith told me all the time before he went away for a while. Heather stands there, shaking in place, as if trying to muster the courage to do something. She begins to strafe, getting closer to the closet and bending down to pick up something beside the corpse. It's a bloody folder with a little booklet stapled to the front. I recognise the emblem on the cover, the Reclamation Bureau. Heather's paw covers the front, but I can still make out Walter's damn basic operation and procedures manual. Outside, there's some movement by Duke's truck. Try not to draw attention to myself. I glance out the window and spot the familiar pattern of orange and black scales and TJ's tufty fur. There's a glint of something metallic, Fling's repeater, which is currently sighted toward the hysterical cat. Heather's so close to us now. Flynn wouldn't risk trying to take the shot, right? The idea of Flynn shooting anyone is just unfathomable in its own right. What are you even talking about? I'm gonna make it, so there's no town. As Heather turns away, she catches a glimpse of the blood on the folder, and then looks back toward the closet. She screams, but she's not staring at the corpse. It's like she's looking above it, Something else at eye level. Daddy. She blubbers before promptly stumbling out of the room in a full sprint, elbow checking Micah so hard that he gets knocked onto his ass. We stand there in silence as Heather's footsteps fade out of earshot. The sound of a car being started can be heard, and as I peer out of the window, I can see her father's utility vehicle peeling out of the driveway. Fuck me. Micah whispers harshly, pushing himself up to his feet. The smell of blood and gun smoke lingers heavy in the air, and I realise my legs feel like gelatin. I nearly collapse back against the wall, trying to catch my breath. As desensitised as I've been feeling, the fear was still very real at that moment. Everyone alright? Liu's asking in my direction, though gives a little look toward Micah. Yeah, peachy. Micah promptly walks toward the closet door and slams it shut. I don't want to look at that anymore. There are no objections to that. Jenna walks over toward the blanket Cole is hiding under. Gingerly, she pulls it off him, exposing the rough-looking ram underneath. He flinches at first, but the next thing I know, Jenna's putting him in for a tight hug. Cole's own massive arms envelop her, the two embracing long enough for Flynn and TJ to finally arrive. Cole! TJ gasps. Flynn, meanwhile, stops dead in the tracks in the doorway, looking a little shaky upon his feet. Jenna pulls back, wiping her eyes with the back of his forearm in such a quick movement I don't think anybody but me noticed. Cole himself can't stop shivering, as if the room's freezing. He's still visibly disorientated, mind racing as all these familiar faces appear in front of him. Cole, you big, cloven idiot. Oh my fucking god. Flynn drops his rifle, stepping up and resting a large hand on his shoulder. Dude. He mumbles, a rasp of disbelief. I'm gonna go get him some water. Hey Micah, come with me and look for some food. Something that will go down easy, yeah? The bat nods, not as interested in this tender reunion as the rest of the gang. They head out toward the kitchen. I mean, Micah did just get shot, bear in mind. He's hurt. Flynn points to the raw, inflamed-looking skin around his neck, as well as the various cuts and bruises that appear elsewhere on his body. Looks pretty surface level, but we should definitely get him to a doctor in Peyton. We're free? Carl asks, looking up at me. Looks like it. I respond casually, approaching him and giving him a big hug of my own. He's so warm, and his shaky breath against my neck actually feels pretty good. TJ joins in as well, sobbing into Cole's fur and muttering things I can't quite make out. Hey, you too. Cole eases his grip some on me, peering up at the tall lizard leering over him. What? You heard me. Flynn frowns, but ultimately relents and crouches down, giving his friend a stiff hug. Cole, meanwhile, clings to him like his life depends on it, evoking a few irks and grunts from the scaly one. Despite the pain noises, I catch a glimpse of Flynn's face. He's smiling, and more broadly than I've ever seen him in a long time. Cole scoops up another spoonful of tapioca pudding, the remnants of the other empty cups he'd gone through sitting on the counter next to him. I've only managed to get halfway through mine, it feeling pretty messed up to be eating a dead guy's food. In my free hand, I'm fidgeting with the pink walkie-talkie thing from Heather's room. I'm not entirely sure why I picked it up, but when Leo gives me a look, I shove it back into my pocket. Cole vomited after we got him to the kitchen, twice. So, I guess it's good that at least he is doing a little better. He'd cried for 15 minutes straight while our wounds were tended to. TJ seems to have mainly snapped out of whatever funk he was in earlier, beyond an occasional strange look toward Flynn. His knowledgeable of sports medicine actually came in handy while patching everyone up with what we could find on hand. Fortunately, Heather's dad was not short on painkillers. Don't give me any of that fentanyl shit. But you got shot? And? TJ stares dumbfounded. There's not too many nerves there, it just hurts a bit when I stretch the skin. I'm more hurt by the gall she had to fucking shoot me for Christ's sake. Are you sure? Those cuts look pretty painful, and it'll be a long ride back to Peyton. TJ inspects the prescription bottle. Curiously enough, the pharmacy label has Brian's name on it. I've lost too many friends in Pueblo to the stuff. You went to Pueblo? Jenna chimes in from across the hall, watching out the kitchen window. Well, I wasn't exactly enrolled at the PU. I bummed around the outskirts. I'm surprised you never ran into any of us there. We most likely didn't frequent the same spots, unless you really like tattoo parlours and ska. A love scar? Shut up, Toby. It's TJ now. Alright, I gassed up my truck with a few of the gas cans lying out by the carport. It's got a full tank, so we don't gotta risk stopping at the gas station by the Flint turnoff. We load up, gun it, and we should be in Peyton just before daybreak. Sounds like a good plan. Does it? I clutched my forehead, the voice from earlier ringing between my ears. After everything had settled down, I honestly hadn't expected to hear it again. Any sign of Heather? No. Last I saw, she was headed northbound on the 65. She frowns in thought. North? Fucking beats me. There's not much going on to the north. There's no real exit to the main interstate system. Just the old military area, lots of country roads that lead nowhere, and the dam. The dam? Oh fuck! All eyes shift to me. She's headed toward the dam. Her dad works there. Worked there. No one has opened the closet since Micah shut it. And Flynn grunts, dangling his repeater from his fingertips. She took that folder with her when she left, the one about the dam operating procedures? Really? I didn't get a clear look at what she was holding. Yeah, I'm telling the truth here? Yeah, I believe you. Flynn squints his eyes some. Are you saying Heather is gonna fuck with the dam? I mean, what else could she be doing? We all heard her speech, right? Yeah, she was screaming it. That bitch can barely operate a doorknob. You think she can figure out how to open a floodgate of that size? Micah pulls out a beer from the fridge, sipping on it gingerly before speaking. I'm pretty sure I remember her dad bringing her up there to work a lot when we were growing up. She hated it. He disappears back into the kitchen. For someone who's experienced the things that we have this evening, he seems oddly composed. It makes me wonder what kind of shit he's seen before all of this. I think back to some of my preliminary research I did back from my project. And by preliminary research, I mean looking at the county website's historical section for 30 minutes. One of the things that jumped out to me was how big Lake Emma used to be, over twice the size it is now. Most of the lakes in this part of the state are man-made, but this one's natural, ancient. The settlers just shrunk it down, siphoning away water for the iceberg lettuce and cotton fields to the east past the mountains. Okay, let's load up everyone. Leo changes the topic, him and Flynn head into the door. Wait. Huh? Jenna steps over beside me, seemingly in deep thought before regarding everybody else. So, we know what Heather's plan is? And you all intend to just leave? Yeah. Leo responds promptly. No way she can manage what she's planning. We got to get Cole and the rest of you lot some medical attention. You sure about that? She got her dad's keys, the codes, the guidebook, and presumably she's got a pretty keen knowledge of how all this shit works already. I mean shit, I want to get out of here, but the poor fuckers who are still here better know how to swim. You think Echo would flood? Micah shrugs. Jenna presses her fingertips to her forehead, exhaling. I truly hate to say it, but we should go after her. What? No way. Absolutely the fuck not. There ain't no goddamn way you're making me drive the opposite direction of ending this whole nightmare of an evening. Jenna turns, giving him a look. Fuck you. Jenna smiles tiredly, back up at the Gila. I knew you had some common sense in there somewhere, and maybe even a heart. I get stuck here because I'm the only fucker who knows how to shoot, and someone needs to watch your asses. He pauses. Also, I just know my aunt would kill me if I let this shit go down. Her being the mayor and all? Yeah. Since when did you suddenly start giving a shit about Echo Townies? The question is clearly directed at Jenna, the lizard grunting in her direction. Jenna shifts in her seat, having to straddle in between Flynn. His truck isn't very big, and none of us particularly wanted to ride in the back. Besides TJ, of course, who always seemed to enjoy being in the truck bed. Fortunately, I managed to call shotgun, which may not have been the wisest of things to shout when everybody was on edge, but it's too late now. I don't know, she says, all matter-of-factly. This evokes a raised brow from the lizard. I just thought about myself leaving everything behind like that, knowing what might happen, and I didn't want to be that person. Flynn blinks, wondering if this is truly Jenna he's talking to right now. Fuck, college does make you a bleeding heart, don't it? Leo wasn't kidding. He sighs, the highway stretching on in front of us for miles and miles. Jenna turns to me, giving me an appraising look before speaking. Thanks for coming, Chase. I know you didn't have to, but it means a lot. Oh, yeah, no problem. Every inch of my body longs to be headed homeward, driving back to Peyton, to Freedom. But here I am. At least Jenna's here, despite everything that's happened. Brian's attack, the hallucinations, the kidnapping, the haunted van, the voice in my head, Heather's house, and the town going nuts. Everyone is silent as our headlights shine down the long stretch of Route 65 ahead. Maybe we're just exhausted. Physically, emotionally, spiritually? I exhale and rest my forehead against the cool window, watching the town's lights blur past. Soon the lights stop and are replaced by darkness, shadows of shapes barely visible through the condensation-tinged glass. We never go this way. No one does. We're getting close to Echo Canyon. The bumps and hills of Echo being replaced by vast open desert, contrasted by the sheer cliff face of the western mesa. There's not much out here but land owned by the feds, most notably the dam and the old proving grounds. I remember there used to be a checkpoint booth up ahead, but it hasn't been manned in decades. It's here you can see the lake most clearly, all of it. It seems smaller than I remember. Yet there's still that tightness in my gut and the urge to look away. So I do. I keep my eyes fixed on the space between my feet, Flint's camouflage patterned floor mat oddly captivating. It's then I notice a blinking green light shining through my left pocket. Instinctively I think it's my phone and reach for it, but then I remember as I pull it out. It's the pink walkie-talkie, baby monitor thingy from earlier. I run my thumb over the surface of it, feeling the worn chipped plastic. It looks like there might even be little teeth marks on the side, like a small child gnawed on it at some point. I remember being like that, thinking everything colourful must be some edible dessert, waiting to be bitten into. I press my thumb against what I think is the talk button, but any labels on this thing have long worn off. Bringing the device up a little, I open my mouth as if to speak, but stop short of actually saying anything. I realise I don't want to freak the others out right now. Seeing the lake again, I look back down. Hello, good sir. I freeze. Hello? Flynn looks over at me. Huh? Jenna stares ahead. Hello, good sir. That same voice, crackling and old, spoken in the same cadence as before. I glance over, and Flynn's gone back to focusing on driving, with Jenna still looking at the road blankly. No one's reacting to this thing going off. Hello, good sir. Is there a voice really coming from this old toy? I stare at the flashing green light, and am reminded of the van from earlier. That voice felt much more vivid, alive, real sound. This one's like I'm remembering a sound, but I've never heard this voice before. And how are you? Huh? And how are you? It repeats. It's distorted, but it sounds like a woman's voice. I've been better, that's for sure. Sorry to hear that. Oh, I guess it can read my thoughts. That's comforting. Things will get better soon. I start to consider sliding the walkie-talkie back into my pocket. Nothing this thing is saying can be doing me any good right now, especially noting that I'm the only one hearing it. Just more hallucinations. Crazy swamp gas, tulpa bullshit. It doesn't seem to be saying anything now. The minutes pass, and I begin to relax some. I look past the device in my paw, the night sky reflected upon the surface of the lake, a streak of white light where the moon is. Not your fault. The voice comes through a little clearer. What do you mean? Not your fault. Intentions pure. The words start coming out choppier, as if hastily clipped from an audio file. It was a loving act, and one cannot fault themselves for a loving act. What are you talking about? I wish we could talk more, but you have places to be. Places to be. The road begins taking us into the canyon proper, and the light on the walkie flicks off. Oh man, I don't like this. I've never actually been here before, and we're going to visit here again in the next episode. This is Usho signing off, and hopefully I will see you next time.